The day of my mom's funeral, my wife and ex-boyfriend crashed into the hospital. My mother-in-law asked me to save her, saying that the man was her biggest client, but she didn't know that the real money was me today. It was my mother's funeral, but my wife Joanna left without saying a word, leaving me and our daughter to handle the arrangements. I called her. She coldly replied, "I have an urgent meeting. I'll be out of town for a few days, but today is my mom's funeral." She sighed impatiently on the phone. "I know, but death can't be undone, and it's not like I killed her. Just handle things on your own." Then she abruptly hung up. As she did, I thought I heard a man's voice in the background. Later that night, I received a call from the police. "Hello, are you a relative of Joanna? This is the police. She's at Hillvale Hospital, and her condition is critical. You need to come immediately." I hung up, feeling anxious. I quickly gathered the family and rushed to the hospital. At the hospital, the doctor immediately issued a critical condition. "Notice the patient's breathing is stopped. We need to perform POBR. Please make a decision quickly." I knew the hospital's director, Roderick Powell, so I rushed to find him. "Is Mr. Powell here? Please have him come. He's at a meeting in the province," the nurse replied. Joanna's mother, Rainina Gravel, shoved me aside. "At a time like this, you are still looking for someone." I ignored her, grabbed a pen, and signed the critical notice. Then I walked aside to make a phone call. No matter the cost, no matter what I had to sacrifice, I was going to get the best doctor to save Joanna. Rainina, sitting by the operating room, began to berate me. "You good for nothing. If it weren't for you, Joanna wouldn't have to struggle with all that socializing. If something happens, what are we going to do? Caitlin's so young. She'll grow up without a mother." Joanna's father, Pearson Gravel, chimed in. "You talk about starting a business again and again, but I don't see you making anything of yourself. Everyone in our neighborhood is some kind of CEO or manager of those listed companies. You are just a useless house husband." Raina's tirade grew furious. "Draper, my daughter's stuck with you. What bad luck." Once everything was arranged, I picked up my daughter, Maudem Fairclough. I didn't want her to hear this, so I covered her ears and tried to take her out to buy something to eat. The police stopped me. "Mr. Fairclough, we're sorry about the situation, but we need to fine you for illegal parking." Mrs. Fairclough and Mr. Lambert were parked illegally. Hearing that name made me freeze. "You were saying my wife was with a man named Lambert?" "Yes, when the officer began to explain. Just then, a nurse rushed out of the operating room holding the critical condition notice and asked, "Is anyone here a relative of Wayne Lambert? Does anyone know his family?" I knew Wayne Lambert. He had been my wife's ex-lover from college. Before I could ask more questions, my phone rang. It was the hospital's director, Roderick. "Mr. Fairclough, do you want to save the other man who was brought in with your wife? Wayne and I were rivals in love when I was in college. I chased Joanna for 2 months. On the final attempt, I organized a grand confession on the sports field in front of Wayne. She accepted me. I thought she had truly forgotten Wayne and chosen me. After graduation, Wayne went abroad. Joanna agreed to marry me. I thought we would grow old together in quiet happiness after marriage. Joanna said she didn't want to be a housewife. She found fulfillment in the career she was building, and I supported her. The medical beauty industry she was involved in was booming, showing great promise. So I secretly spent large amounts of money to help her. I still remember our wedding day. The sky filled with rose petals as I held Joanna's hand walking toward the wedding cake with everyone watching. During the toast, my best friend clapped me on the shoulder. "Congratulations, man. You finally married your first love." I laughed, playing along with his teasing. Everyone at school knew I was in love with Joanna. I thought I was the happiest man in the world. But then Wayne came back. I was lost in my memory. I didn't know how to respond to Roderick, and I didn't know whether I should save my former rival. In a daze, I overheard the nurses gossiping. "So this is her husband. I heard those two were naked when they were brought in. Well, that man must be her lover. I heard they just parked the car by the roadside and started right away. The police tried to give them a ticket, but when they knocked on the window for a while, no one answered.